we have completed the login. Has everybody completed the login? Registration and login page. Has everybody completed? Okay, so no one is answering. Looks like everyone has done some part, not the complete login and registration. Okay, so now let me create one more page called as home page. Okay, so I will give you the task, step number 10. Step number 10, create home page. So just in the components, I'll write down the step you have to do. In the components folder, create a new component called as home.jsx. Put basic code in this component by typing RFCE. Third, add a new routing with path equal to / and component equal to home, and then go to registration and login page and change the path from master to / because we put master in the registration and login, but we will change it to the home page. So complete this 4 steps in 2 minutes and then I'll go further. Okay, so 2 minutes done. Now I'll do these steps. Those who are not done, they can follow it. So I go to components folder and I will create a new file home.jsx. I will put the basic structure here. Okay, so this is the basic structure for the home. Put the basic structure is done. Now add a new routing. So I'll go to the routing. In the my routing, I will add home component, and I will add here home. I will add one more path for the home. It will be pointing to slash. So this part is also done, adding a new routing. Now let's go to the registration and login page and update the path. So I'll go to register page. Here, after registration and is done, I am going to the master page. Now I'll go to the slash page. And in the login also, I'll go to the slash page. So this is done. Okay, so all the steps are done now. It took hardly 1 or 2 minutes to complete all this one. Now we need to build more pages. So step 11. Okay, before step 11, I need to explain what we need to build. So we need to build a master page with pagination. And master page may have different layout. If you have seen the website Craigslist, it has particular layout. If you have seen the Facebook, it has particular layout. So we have different layout. So we will be doing some different layout for master page depending on what or material you have provide. Then we have the detail page. Detail page also can be of different type. So here also we will be doing different layouts. Okay, before going to these two pages, we need to build the create and update page. Okay, so we need to build the create or update page. Okay, I'll be back in a minute. Okay, so now we have to do the create and update page. Okay, so create and update page is a lengthy one, and will give you few tasks to do that. Okay, let's start with the create and update page. So let's first concentrate on the create, and then we'll concentrate and we'll modify it for the update. Now here, create page always has form. So for example, there is my page called as example.jsx. Okay, so this page has few form elements. For example, if I talk about Craigslist, it can be have the title and the description. Okay, and if I talk about to-do list, let's say to-do list, I'm just putting some examples. Craigslist, so it has title and description. Then let's talk about the to-do app. Okay, to-do app has only what you wanted to do. It's an input element, and this here is the input element. This is the text area. Okay. So like this, every website has different kind of fields and different kind of elements it has. Another example is Facebook. Let's consider Facebook. What it has? It has a news feed. Okay. To enter the news feed, whatever you want to, whatever you are thinking, you are putting in the news feed. So it has the news feed. So any website has this form for the create page. Without form, there is no create page. And each create page is different. Any website is different. So we will build one basic create page which can be utilized with any of the website. If I want to build Craigslist also, I will use that basic page to build that. So I'll be creating this form page one time, and then I can use it multiple times for all of my websites. So right now I give you 3 examples. If I have 100,000 website also, the create page will remain same. Only configuration I will pass in each website, and based on that create page will change. So how to do that? So on the create page, let's say example is my create page. I'll put example create page. These are the samples which I will move it upward. Okay, so this is my example create page. Now try to understand how we are creating the create page. Here I will create one configuration, and this configuration may be based on this one, or it may be based on this one, or it may be based on this one. And I will pass this configuration to my another page called as myform.jsx page. So I'll pass this configuration to myform, and myform will then handle everything. So this will render the form based on configuration. We did this few days back, but I'm doing it again because this will be the real one. That one was only for learning purpose. Now we will be building the real page, and with material UI it will also look good based on the material UI CSS. Okay, so now you have to help me doing all this form, and I will not ask you to do first because this is a little complicated and you may be lost. Okay, you may be lost if you do this. Okay, so let me open again the readme file. No, not this readme. Project master readme file. I'll open again. Okay, so first I have to create the example create page. Okay, so let's create the example create page. This is the create page here. I can use this page also. This is my example create page. So let's do it here. Okay, this is the example. Now all my form code will go in a new folder. I will name it as widgets. So anything related to form will be widgets. And here I will create a file called as myform.jsx. Okay, this is myform.jsx. I will just create a basic structure. Now in this widget, I need to build different components based on my requirement. So I will start with only one now, and I will ask you to do a couple of them. And okay, let's close this one. Okay, let's do. I will do one, and then you have to do other one also. So based on the components one, I will go to the text field. So this is the basic first one. I will build it, and then you will build more. I will tell you which one. Okay. So now what we are doing, we are creating a myform, and I will pass configuration in it. What configuration? That what kind of field I want to display it. And then I will render the form based on the configuration. So here In the create page, let's create the configuration which I want to pass. So I will create a configuration constant config equal to an array. So this config will be the array with different fields. So for in this case I will create 2, in this case I will create 1, in this case I will create 1, for example. These are the 3 examples are there. So let's first build a to-do app. It is simple and we need only one field to do. So in the configuration, I will give you widget, what kind of widget I want to build. So here I will say I want to build a widget called as text field. I want to give the name of the widget, or what name should go to the text field. Name will be, I can put to do, for example. And what will be the label I want to display? I want to display label as to do. Okay. Next, I want to say, okay, what I want to put the type. So since text field can be of password, it can be of email, it can be of many different things. Search. So we will give the type also. Text field should be of the type text. Okay. So next we will say what kind of value we want to put. So I'll say value type. So tomorrow if I want to put a string, I will mark it as string because database will not know what kind of value you want to pass. In database, if you want to put age as a number, but if you don't pass it anything, it will go as a string because Java, HTML takes everything as a string. So if we want to pass numeric or floating parameter to the database, we won't be able to say it to the database because everything goes as a string. So we need to tell which value type I want to pass. Okay. Next will be the, in this one, in this page, select input box. I have the input adornment. See how I can see kg here or kg in the end, or I can see this icon. So this is called adornment in the material UI. So if I put this one, this is the starting adornment, and if I want to use this one, this is the ending adornment. Okay. Okay, so I will describe the steps. Okay. Okay, so value type I will put it. Okay, let me give you the steps what we want to build in the create one so that you are clear what things will happen. Okay, so I will give the steps now first and then I will go ahead. Step 11, no steps. First step is create configuration. So whatever form you have, you need to create configuration for that. So that is called the configuration. Now each form may have different configuration. Let's say I have one page. I have one page where I want to get information like name, last name, first name, age, gender. So I will create configuration based on this elements. So for next time, for example, if I want to, one second, if I want to create another page with information like to-do app or Craigslist, I will put title, description, images. So I will create a configuration based on this one. So based on your page, you need to build your configuration. So first step is creating the configuration, which I am doing it here. Okay, what is the second step? Second step is call the myform. Okay, myform.jsx. Call this form with configuration. Okay, which configuration? This configuration. So you will pass this configuration to the myform.jsx. Now what will myform will do? Based on the configuration, myform will render the form. So what will myform do? Myform will render the form for you. Okay, what is the third step? Third step is we need to build a state variable which will take the value of this and save it in the state variable. So what is the next step is create a state variable which will save all the information of the form in a state variable. Okay, that is the next step. You need to also create a state variable for errors. So if we have errors, so we need some variable which will save the errors. So we have to create a state variable for errors which will save all errors. Okay, what is the next step? We need to create handle change function. So whenever someone will change in the form, we should be able to tackle it. Okay, so this function will be, one-time creation, and then whenever you create a new form, this function will remain same. So we have to create handle change function, handle blur function. So sometimes you type something in the text field and you go to next field, I should show the error. So handle blur function is for that one. We'll do all these steps. I'm just putting the steps so that you know what are the tasks you have to do. Next step. You need to create handle submit function which will first check if there are no errors. If errors are there, we should show the errors. And if there are no errors, we will submit the details of the form to the server. Okay, so this is the next step which we have to do. And what is the seventh step? If everything goes good, we will redirect. We will redirect user to another page if everything is good. So what we are trying to do here, let me explain you again. We are trying to build a create page. Create page may be of different fields, or this field, or this field, or to do app, or newsfeed. So based on the configuration, I will create number of fields and how it should look. I will create this configuration, and then I will create myform.jsx where I will process the configuration. So if this is the input element, myform will process input element in a different way. If this is the text area, myform will process the text area in a different way. If this is numeric, myform will process it in a numeric format, or select box. Gender is a select box, so it will process in a different way. After building this myform, we will create the state variable in this page only, example create page only, which will save all the information, because whenever some user will do the changes in the myform, we need to save that in the state variable locally. We will save that in the state variable, and we will also create another variable for the errors. And these two functions will update the state variable for the form and the errors. Based on the error is there, we will use handle function or handle blur to see if there are errors are there or no. Then we will create handle submit function that whenever someone will submit this form, we should process we will process this form or values to the database. We will save that in the database. And once it is saved in the database, we will move to another page so that we are done. So we are building the configuration. Now let's build the configuration and see how to build the configuration. Then we'll go to the myform. Okay, so this is the create page where I will build my configuration. So this is the first one, second one, third one. I put only the to do one. So just build this configuration, write down this configuration, and then I'll go further. So you have create page, just create this configuration. I'll give you 1 minute to build this configuration. Okay. So what I'm thinking to move this configuration in one configuration file. Okay, so let's build one configuration file and we will move it to that place. So let me first create in the source folder. I will create a new folder. I will name it as utilities. And here I will create a new file called as configs.js. And I will put all the configuration here. So let me grab this configuration and put it inside the configs, and I will export it so that I can grab it anywhere I want. Okay, so I will name this config as config to do. Okay, so just move from the create page, move the config in the config file, which is located in the utils folder inside the source folder. So in source folder, utils folder, we have configs folder, and we will move the config here. So just move the config here. It is completed. Are you doing it with me or no? Okay, just asking. If you're not doing, if you do later, I will go fast and complete it. If you're doing with me, I will give you time to do it. Depend on what you want to do. Okay, since I created one config, I will assign you now some task. You need to, okay, so this is the one config. Create a file inside source utils configs.js and write following config. Okay, so we created to do config. I want you to create one config for so for no you have to create like this. You have to create one more config. I will name it and you have to create yourself. Export constant config Craigslist, for example, or ads. We name it at ads. So this should have fields like title and description only right now. We can have many more fields like categories, like location and all, but right now only what title and description. Description should be text area and title should be text field. So like I have created this one, you created these two fields for the config ads, and once it is done, you have to paste it in the chat. Then we will go further. Is it done? Paste me the config for this one. Paste the config for this one on the chat. Okay, so Ashok Kumar is naming the label as advertisement. Actually, this is not advertisement. We have to say that this is advertisement. We have to only take the title and description, and you can only one field. So one field will be the text field, one will be the description. I need two fields. So, okay, don't paste to me. Just you have to paste to everyone. So you cannot just don't private chat to me, so that everyone should look what you are doing it. Rakesh is putting two label, no name. Okay. get title text string. Okay, title is correct, and description is also correct. In description, type will not come. Okay, so this type will only come in the text field. In the description, since it is text area, we don't need this type. Okay, let's copy this and we'll go from there. Okay, so first one is the text field with the title. So I will name it as title and label will be title. And type is text, value is string. Second one is description, which is the text area, and name is description, and label is description, capital D, and no type is needed for description. Value type is string. That is okay, good. Okay, so this at least now you will know how to create the configuration. Okay, so that part is done. Let me save here. Let me save this here. Okay. 1 second. Let me save. Okay. Okay, so we are done with the configuration part. So if we go here, configuration is done. Okay. So we did 2 configuration. Here it's a different configuration, but we put 2 for learning purpose. This is the sample project, master project, but when we will go to build some other projects, we will only need to change the configuration. Rest other thing will be in place. Now things will become little complicated. Okay. Okay. So I have to create my form based on this configuration. Okay. So let's try to build the my form page for this configuration. So let's do it now. So what things my form is expecting? Can anyone tell me? I want to pass something in the my form. What should I pass? Okay, props is okay. Props, in props, what things I need to pass so that it should render the form? Let's say form is there with title, description. So what should I pass in the props? Props is always object, but what should we pass in the object? What are the key value pair we should pass? Right, config. So first thing is not config to do config. We will name it as config. So now if we pass this config to do, we will pass config to do, but in the form it will go as a config. So we should put some generic name because it can be this, it can be this, anything I can pass, either one of them. Okay, so when I will pass it, I will rename it to the config so that I can use it this purpose also, I can use it for this purpose also. Let's say tomorrow I'm building only this to-do app. So I will pass this config to do, but here name will change to config. So when I will pass the config to do in the my form, I will pass it as a config. Is this point clear? Why I am putting config? Not config to do or not config adds. Now what other things we need to pass? What other thing we need to pass? Okay, name label is always coming here in this config, so we don't need to pass. It's always coming here. That is already I passed. So when I try to change the value in this to do text field, how will I change it? We need that function handle change. So handle change will be different for different form. Okay, handle change you can write something in one form, you can put handle change different way, and in another way you can pass handle change in a different way. Let's say it is a Facebook app, you want to change, when someone change it, you want to do some different thing. But if it is to do app, you want to do some different thing. So my form, we also need to pass the handle change. So whenever someone tries to change the value, we need to call this function. The handle change is a function. Similarly, we need to pass the handle blur also, because when someone moves from the text field, I want to show error or not. So that will be called by the handle blur. What are the things we need to pass? Handle submit will be taken care of in the create page. The reason is that create page may have 2-3 forms, and it will be having only one submit button. So handle submit will be created when button will be called here in the create page. So it will not be handled by the myform. Myform will only handle other fields, not the button, submission button. Because sometimes my page has 3 different kinds of configuration. So the form will be, this myform will be called 3 times, but ultimately submission will be only 1 time. So that's the reason I don't want to pass handle submit. What are the things? First, let's say if I change some value here, so I want to retrieve that value also, because in the input box I want to show the value. Because if I change the input box, I want to show that value here in the my form. So let's say I have input box. Okay, I will write on here. Let's say I have input box. This input box. So I render the input box by the configuration. But user try to change the value. For example, he put title is this. Title is good. So he put the title like this. So we need to save this in the state variable, and then we need to pass that state variable to the my form so that I can show this value to the user. So whatever user has put the value in the input box, I want to show that. So I need a value. So here I will pass the values, which will be having all the values of the config. So for example, if I have this config, so value will be whatever user has put for this to do, I will be able to get it from the value. Value is the object. So if we have one field, so values of to do will be saving the information for this one. But if we have the 2 objects like this, so in the values we may have values of the title and values of the description. Let me write down, otherwise you will not understand. So values will be having of title, and whatever user is putting title is good. So value will be having one title field, title one, and value also will have description like this. This is description. So when I'm passing these values, so whatever user has put for title, I will be able to grab it, and whatever user has put the description for description field, I will be able to grab it. And where these values will be saved, where these values will be saved, okay, it will be saved in the state. And where will the state exist? In which page state will be there? These are the 3 files. Where will I create the state? In the my form, or in the create, or in the config? A state will not be created in the my form, because we need to create the state in the create one. in state will never be created in the my form. It will be created in the create one, and only the state variable will be passed to my form. The reason is submission will happen in the create page. If state is created in the my form, then I won't be able to access that state in the create page. So I need to create the state in the create page, not in the my form. But that state variable I will pass it here so that I can show the value of each field to the user. It is clear why state is created here. Okay, if I create the state here, for example, let's assume for a minute constant state state. I'm creating the state here. Okay. Now in the create page, I'm calling my form one time for some configuration. I'm calling it second time for another configuration. So my create page has three forms based on my requirement. Now I create my form three times. So state is created three times for each form. And how will I access that state which is written in the my form in this create page? So when I want to submit these three forms, I want the state variable. State variable if lies in the my form, how will I submit the my form from the create page? So we need to create the state here so that I can save the information of this in one state and information of this also in the same state, information of this also in the same state. So that when user will submit the button to submit it to the database, I have the state variable here only. So I will be submitting the submitting the form to the backend using the state variable. And if state variable lies here, how will I access it here in the create page? Create page has three different kinds of form. So we should never keep the state in the my form. Okay, we should keep that in the create one. Is that clear? Why state should be in the create? Okay, so let's create the state variable here. Constant. I will name the variable as values and set values equal to react.useState. So I created the state variable here, and I will pass these values in the my form like this. Okay, I pass the configuration which is this one or this one. I will pass the handle change. I will pass the handle change which will which will save the information in the state variable whenever user try to change the field. On the blur also it will happen same thing. And this is the values which will go from the state variable to my form so that I should be able to show to the user what he has put in the form. What one more thing we need in the my form? I also need, if you read this one, I also need this error part. Okay, because whenever there is error in the form, I should be able to keep it in some variable. So we have this is the good values of the form, but we also need the error part. So I will also create another state variable called as errors, and here I'll say set errors. Okay, so we need this also, errors also. So we need error. One more thing we need is error. Is all these five things okay? Did you got why we need five things? Okay, now what we will do based on the configuration, we need to render the text field or text area. Okay, so we will work on this configuration part. So before I work on the configuration part, just try to create these two state variables. I will put it here. Create two state variables in create.jsx file. Okay, these two values you have to create. Also in the myform, just pass this this props. Okay, so I will say also, do it along with me. Pass the props in the myform.jsx file, and props are this one. Config handle change. Just do these two things. One in the create, just add these two values, and in the form, just put this props. Is it done? These two steps. Okay. Now what will happen? I created this config. I will take this config and pass it to the myform. Let's do that. So I will first import config to do from. I will go back one level. I will go to utils and I will go to config. So what I did, I imported the config. This is the config which I am using. I am not using this one now. I am only using this one. I imported this, and I will also import myform. Import myform from the widgets myform. Now I will call myform here. So when I call the myform, I will pass this config. So I'll say config is equal to config to do. Why I am putting config here? The reason is myform can accept only the config, not the config to do. So here I will say config, but I will pass the config to do. So tomorrow if I want to pass config adds, I will just change this to config adds and pass that. So myform will only accept config, but we are passing now config adds. So whatever config we need to pass, we can call it here and pass it to the myform. So right now I'm passing config to do. Okay, so just do this step. Import this step. I'll write down in create.jsx, import following two statements and call my form as follows. So how to call the my form? From the create, we have to call like this. Okay, so just do this two steps. So what you will do in the create page, just import it and just call the my form. Is it done? These two steps. Okay. Now since my form will accept values, errors, handle change, handle blur, let's pass all those to this. First I will pass values. Second I will pass errors. Next I will pass handle change. So I will create a function, empty function right now, and then I will pass this handle change here to the my form. I will also pass this handle blur to the my form. Okay, so we need to pass all this parameter to the my form. So these are all things which we can pass it. So just create these two. I will write down create two empty functions now in create.jsx and change the my form attributes as follow. We need to change, right? Previously it was only config, now we added all. So we need to change it like this. Okay, so just do these two lines. Okay, is this part done? Okay. Let's go further. So till now we will just see what is coming. I should be able to see the my form, and I should be able to see everything is looking good. There's no error, page is rendering properly and all. So we will do more work in this tomorrow. Okay, so let's check if everything is going fine. Let me start the npm. Okay, let's check. So these are the warnings, which is okay for now because we have to use it. So this is the home page. If I go to the create page, I am able to see the create record. I am able to see the my form. I will just do some debugging to show you everything is going good. So these are the two warnings. It's okay. We not use this functions, which we will use it tomorrow while building it, and I will also check. I will also do some, I will do some debugging. So here I will try to see what config is coming. Okay, let's see. So config is coming to do part. So here you can see to do. If tomorrow I don't want to use to do, I want to use config add. I will call this config add here, and I will pass config add here, and then I will see config is coming to this one. So tomorrow if my page has two forms, okay, two forms, then in the one form I want to call this config to do. For example, I'll call config to do also. In the one form I pass config to do, and in the another form I will pass config adds. Then I will see, I can see both the configs. Okay, to my form, two forms will be rendered, and I can keep only one submit button also if I want. But if I want only one form, I can use that one form also. So generally we will work on the one form. If you want to put two forms, then things will become more complicated, and I don't want you to jump into that complexity. But right now I will only do my one form. Okay, so consider that everything will be in this form. Okay, so now what will happen based on this configuration? I will render it. I will render the my form with only the text field because this configuration is showing text field. Okay, so we will do that part tomorrow. And let's to make the things very faster. So this is the material UI. So let's go to this is the text field. So I'll do the text field, and similar to the text field is the text area. So if you just add, one second, let me check. Okay, if you just add the multi-line word, you will get the text area like this. This is the text area. Okay, so once we do the text field, I will ask you to do similar way text area, or I can tell you, I can ask you to do the switch part. Switch part is something like this, or I'll ask you to do the radio button. Okay, so you to do the radio button like this. I will ask you to do the. So these are the lot of functionalities are there. Day by day we will create everything. We will build all in our widgets, but slowly. Right now we will only build few, 4 or 5, based on our immediate requirement. One is the select, one is the radio button, one is the checkbox, one is the text area, one is the text field. Like this, we will add few things, and later on we will add more functionalities, everything. Think about this, everything we will add in our widgets. So that is the task in future which we have to do. So right now we will only build, tomorrow we will only build the text field and the text area. So one will be the text field and one will be the text area. Only two things, because in our config we are only using these two, text field or the text area. Later on we will add more configuration and we will try to build a lot of other other components like this. We will add more from here. Okay, so that's it for today. That's all for today. Let's do it. I updated the notes page. Let me check. Yeah, it's updated. So if you go to the website, it's updated. I updated everything, whatever we did today. Okay, here is the notes page.